A Maryland running back is going to be a breakout star.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Trey Moore, host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Maryland has a star, I think, in their running back room that not a lot of people know about, that not a lot of people are talking about. But at Big Ten Media Day, they gave a couple of hints, and I've kind of talked about this guy a good amount. But after hearing what a couple of the guys said to confirm what I've kind of been thinking, what I've been seeing in the Maryland spring game and all the different reports that have been going on, a lot of it has been confirmed by what they've been saying, that I think Maryland has a potential breakout superstar in the running back room, and it's not Roman Hemby. And let me start by saying this. Roman Hemby's the starting running back for Maryland football, and he's going to get a lot of the carries, and he's an NFL type of player. If he has a good season next year, he's a really good shot at getting drafted in next year's draft. I always bring up this point, but there was a time where Roman Hemby was number 2 on Mel Kiper's big board in terms of at the running back position, which is pretty crazy. Last year, the running back class was nothing special, but still, if you're number 2 on Mel Kiper's big board for running backs, you were doing something right. But then his production slowed down during the season, and he didn't look as good as maybe we thought he would have. Didn't have quite the season that we thought he would have, but still, Roman Hemby's the starter. A lot of the offense is going to go through Roman Hemby. He's one of the most explosive players on our team. He might be our best offensive weapon. You could argue a couple different guys, maybe between Ty Felton and Caden Prather and Roman Hemby. You could argue a couple different guys, but I still think that the guy behind Roman Hemby, who hasn't gotten a ton of time for Maryland football in his freshman season, but going into next year, I think he's a potential breakout superstar, and it sounds like everyone else is agreeing with that, and that is Nolan Ray. So what caught my eye is I already knew Nolan Ray was one of the fastest, one of the most explosive people on our entire football team. But when Ty Felton said it and confirmed it at Big Ten Media Day that Nolan Ray might be the fastest guy on the team, of course, Ty Felton likes to say he's the fastest, but he put Nolan Ray up there. And I knew that when I was watching the spring game, I was like, this kid has another gear. This kid's got some talent. He's just got a motor. He's got an athleticism that not a lot of people have. And as great as Roman Hemby has been a really good player for Maryland football. He's done a lot of really good things. In his redshirt freshman year, I remember his first year as getting a lot of the carries, being the starter. He averaged 5.3 yards per carry, had 989 yards, 10 touchdowns. And yeah, 2023, the numbers went down clearly with only 680 yards, only 4.8 yards per carry and 4 touchdowns. Yeah, Roman Hemby's explosive, but I don't know if Roman Hemby can hit the gear that Nolan Ray can hit. And I know a lot of you guys are going to say, probably think it's kind of crazy that I'm saying this, think that it's a little bit out there, but I'm telling you, Nolan Ray has a chance to be a superstar. And it might take a second during the year to really for it to formulate, to it come into the season and for us to really start seeing it. But after maybe a game or two, you're going to see a flash here or there. I'm telling you, you might see it in our first game against UConn. You might see it week 2 against Michigan State, where he's going to have a carry for 30, 40 yards. And we're like, oh, shoot, we need to be giving this guy more carries. this guy needs a little bit more production. And I saw it in the spring game. I could tell. You can see when a guy has a different gear. You could see it in the spring game with a couple of his carries, the way he was moving. And everybody seems to be talking about Nolan Ray. Everyone seems to be chatting about it in terms of the football players. Typhon said it. Not only he said was Nolan Ray one of the fastest guys on the team, he also said Nolan Ray is having a really good spring. So not only is he talented, not only is that athletic, freakish ability there, he's also putting it together on the field. And when a teammate confirms it like that, then you know that it's something. And another part of this is Coach Loxley's been saying that Maryland's going to have to run the ball more, which is an important thing to remember. Maryland is going to have to run the ball more. I think the Maryland identity is going to be changed. I think it's going to be a lot different, which a lot of you guys already know without Talia, that it's going to be a different ball game. It's not going to be what it was last year. We're not going to be able to throw the ball 50 times in a game and figure out a way to win that type of game. We're not be able to do those different things. And the identity changes, and that just goes with what I think Nolan Ray can do. We're going to be a more run-heavy team. Coach Loxley said it. Yes, he said it at Big Ten Media Day. He said that we're going to have to run the ball. Here's the exact quote from Big Ten Media Day. The one area of my team for us to compete in the Big Ten, we've got to run the ball. So that's very interesting that he said. It's not very interesting. I mean, you expect a coach to kind of say that when you lose your starting quarterback, when you lose a lot of guys up front. You don't want to be stuck in 3rd and 12s and 3rd and 10s and 3rd and longs. You just don't want to be stuck in those types of situations. And so I think about this, and I think about Nolan Ray and what Nolan Ray brings to this football team, and I'm saying we're going to run the ball a lot more. And yeah, that's going to be really good for Roman Hemby, but I think it's also going to be good for Nolan Ray. And Nolan Ray is going to have a chance to make some shocking plays, which is going to allow him slowly to get more carries, because I think that realistically going into the year, the running back depth chart, I'm sure every team has a depth chart. I bet for them, Coach Loxley probably is going to have it as Hemby, Colby McDonald, and then Nolan Ray, but all three will get carries. But as we get onto the season, later onto the season, I think it's going to be more of a two-man type of thing where Roman Hemby and Nolan Ray are getting a ton of carries. And I love Colby McDonald, absolutely love him because of how productive he's been. He's not quite the athlete that Nolan Ray is, but he's been productive overall. He averaged the most yards per carry last year on the team. He was our most productive back with having some of the most limited opportunities, but he took advantage of all the opportunities that he had. But I just think that there's a different type of gear. There's a different type of talent to Nolan Ray. So I think that Nolan Ray, he'll start breaking out. It might take a little bit, but then there's going to be like a game, and it's going to be like the Nolan Ray game where he rushes for 100 yards, where Roman Hemby can't get going and something like that. And then we're like, this kid can be a superstar. This kid can be the next really good back for Maryland football, because Roman Hemby is gone after next year. So we got to have somebody else in that room step up. And we've got some really talented players coming in the 2025 class. Depending on what happens with Zymir Smith, Zymir, for his own right, might be one of the best athletes, not only on Maryland's team as he gets there, in the entire Big Ten and maybe even the country. He's one of the best athletes in the 2025 class, and he has a background playing some running back. We don't know still what exactly he's going to play, but Iverson Howard's also a 2025. That's a 4-star on a lot of different websites. So he's also going to have the chance to play pretty early, but still, you're going to have someone take over for Roman Hemby. So I think that it might take a second, but we might recognize Nolan Ray as a star for Maryland football during the year. I'm telling you, there's going to be a game. There's going to be a couple of carries where we look at him, we're saying, we got to give this guy the ball more. And then maybe we just start getting into his hands, whether it's jet sweeps, whether it's screen passes, whether it's running plays, whether it's inside zone, outside zone, whatever it may be. we're going to find ways to get Nolan Ray the ball, and then it's just going to slowly, he's becoming a big part of the offense. And you can have two running backs that can be the featured players in your system. And I think that's what's going to happen. And our two stars are going to be in the running back. To bring back that point, Coach Loxley said, we're going to have to run the ball more. And so there's plenty of teams where their two best players on the offense have been their two running backs. And there's teams this year that are like that. There's teams right in the Big Ten that have been like that. This year, you can look at Ohio State. They have awesome players pretty much everywhere on their offense. But in terms of the running back rooms, they got the transfer from Ole Miss and Judkins. That's going to be one of their best players on the whole team. And also they have that Henderson kid. That's also one of their best players. So they are going to have two-star backs back there. And then you look at Penn State. They have two-star backs with Allen and Singleton, who both came in as freshmen and were already two stars for that offense. And I think Nolan Ray and Roman Hemby can be similar to that. It can be a two backfield with two stars. And I think that has a chance to be a really cool duo for Maryland football. And I have a lot of confidence in that room. And I think last year we lacked juice behind Roman Hemby. And there were games where Roman Hemby got it going and we could rely on him for sure. There were games like that, like against Rutgers, where he has 15 carries for 113 yards. And against Nebraska, he had 74 yards rushing. And there's some other big games from Roman Hemby. He had 162 yards against Charlotte, but that's Charlotte. And, that's nothing too crazy. But there was games where he absolutely couldn't get it going. Michigan State, 10 carry for 12 yards. And we still able to win that game, but we might not be able to do that this year. UVA, 9 carries for 23 yards. And having a guy like Nolan Ray behind him that can bail him out when he's having tough days, I think you're going to look at Maryland and be like, these two running backs might be the star of the offense next year. And then Nolan Ray might transition to being a star in the Big Ten. Just don't be surprised if that breakout comes, because he has that type of talent. He has that different gear that he can hit that not a lot of guys can hit. I don't know if you guys saw Derek Queen in that video on Instagram that Maryland basketball released, but Derek Queen is already looking like our best player. I will talk about that after this ad from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships, and is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Derek Queen is going to be our best player next year for Maryland basketball. And I don't know how many people are going to agree with me with this. I think some people will definitely agree. I think some people will push back when I talk about Derek Queen being our best player next year. But I honestly think that he's going to be our best player next year. And he has a chance to just be absolutely special. And the motivation behind this isn't just me being random. If you guys have Instagram, go to the Maryland basketball Instagram and go look at the highlight that they released of Derek Queen. And they're doing a practice. I guess it's like an inter squad scrimmage type of thing. And they're at like the Under Armour facility, I think in Baltimore. So it's a little bit of that's some background of it, but go check it out. Derek Queen's absolutely dominating. I know it's a practice clip, but you can tell like this kid has a bag of moves. He's doing things that I didn't know he could do. Like this kid has got special game, and I think it's pretty obvious and clear when you watch that video. I know it's just a video. I know it's just an Instagram video, but I'm like, yeah, this kid's probably going to be our best player. And I know a lot of you guys are going to push back because we have some really good returners. We have some new transfers coming in that are really good. But watch the video. This kid's got game where I'm like, I didn't know he could shoot the ball as well as he's shooting in the video. And I know you don't see the misses and all those different things. It's just a video. But you can tell he's really able to shoot the three-point shot, which is a big deal. He's going to be playing alongside Julian Reese a lot. So we're going to need a guy that can stretch the floor, a guy that can give us space. And he could clearly shoot the three ball. He clearly could score in the post. He was doing so many different things. In the mid-range game, looked excellent. And he does it all moving at his own speed, which is still really cool to me. The way he moves, the way he goes about things. He doesn't get sped up. He does everything at his speed. Like, it's really Jokic-ish. And I know people have compared him to Jokic, but it really does remind me of a Jokic type of thing. Like when you watch Jokic play for the Nuggets, I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about with Jokic. But if you don't, it's like he moves like at his own speed. He does everything kind of how he wants to do it. And he's not going to get sped up. And you're going to look at him and be like, this kid's not a great athlete. Like Jokic is not a great athlete. Like, I don't know how he's doing this type of thing. But he just gets it done. And Derek Queen is similar in that type of way. I'm just watching him. He clearly just knows how to get his shots. He knows how to use the mid-range. He knows how to do different things in the post. And that's just a little bit. He showed so much, but it was also still such a small sample size of what he can do on the basketball court. And so I think it's pretty clear to me, like when you have a talent like this, a 5-star talent that comes into your basketball program and it's just dominating like he clearly is, he's going to be our best player. I don't know how long it's going to take to really for us to realize that, but I think that that's what's going to happen with Derek Queen. I think we're going to look at him and say, yup, he's our best player. And it might take a second for it to happen like anything else. But I think by the end of the season, like if we need a bucket, he very well could be the guy we go to. We have some really really talented other players. Like you could say Julian Reese is returning. He's been here forever. He's a senior now. He's been a really good player for Maryland basketball. He's been one of our keys to success. And I say, yeah, Julian Reese is really good. But Julian Reese is limited in terms of some of his skill and what he can do. And Derek Queen's probably not as good as a defender as Julian Reese and not as good of a rebounder either. But in terms of an offensive skill set, Julian Reese can't do what Derek Queen can do. And I think that's why they work together so well, because Julian Reese, really good defender, really good finisher down low, really good rebounder. Where I look at Derek Queen, he's like the guy that, he's not as good of a defender, but he's a guy that can get us 25 points in a game when we need it. Or he can stretch the floor, or he can pass the ball, he can play make at the 4, and do all these different things where it can help us win games. And I think those two can really come together and form the best front court in the Big Ten potentially. But you look at Jacoby Gillespie, he's also going to be up there for one of our better players. Deshaun Harris-Smith returning, Rodney Rice coming in, Selton Miguel, all these different guys are going to be really good players for Maryland basketball. But I come away from those clips saying Derek Queen is probably our best player next year and has a chance to do special things at Maryland basketball. Just please go watch the clips if you haven't seen it, because it's really cool. What did Coach Loxley say about the QB battle at Big Ten Media Day? We'll talk about this, and we'll continue to talk about this next week as well, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit today. I will tell you about that after this ad from FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much, and I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers to Boost or Bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. So make sure you guys go check out FanDuel for any betting that you want to do for the MLB. FanDuel, the official partner of Major League Baseball. So, Coach Loxley's comments about the quarterback battle were kind of interesting at Big Ten Media Day. At the same time, they were kind of stale, and he didn't give us a lot, but he does tell us something that it sounds like this could be completely wrong from his perspective, but it sounds like he has really no idea what he's going to do at the quarterback battle. And it's not that he sounded like kind of scared, but he kind of like mentioned a couple things where I'm like, he clearly might not be comfortable right now with how things are going. He's talking about how he was talking about Talia and how he's still adjusting and getting used to things without Talia, basically, and how the team is going to have to be more of a defensive led team, which I talked about yesterday, and then as well as we're going to have to run the ball to win games. And so when a coach keeps dropping hints like this, we have to take it as something, because that's our job, to kind of look into it and say, what is he saying? Clearly, they practice a lot. And I'm not saying the quarterbacks haven't been good, but they haven't probably been as good as, I don't know how I want to say this. They definitely haven't been great. And they definitely haven't lived up to what Talia's been, but I think that's what nobody expects them to do that. I don't think anybody expects them to come in right now and be Talia or to be as good as Talia. I don't think anybody expects that, because he almost sounded like he missed Talia. And I was like, okay, like he's talking about Talia and how these guys, how he doesn't know who the starter is, and he was like, I'm still trying to figure out life after Talia, and he just sounded like he misses Talia, which is understandable, but you're not, like, the way he kind of stated it, it was kind of like, okay, like, we're supposed to kind of be moving on from the Talia thing. I know we miss him. I know he's great. I know he would really help our football team, but can we keep moving forward? Can we keep looking beyond Talia? Can we talk about the current quarterbacks, like how they're doing so far right now? And it kind of felt like he still just doesn't know. And I think that's completely fair. And that tells me, like I said a couple episodes ago, maybe last week, I want to say, the quarterback battle is probably closer than a lot of people think it is. I don't think he really knows right now. I really don't think he knows. I do think it's a two-man race between Edwards and MJ Morris, but I don't think he knows what he's going to do. And that's why part of me is like, this is what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to be like, first week against UConn, and maybe even to the Michigan State game, which I don't really like. He could end up playing both guys. And I never really like the two quarterback thing. I like one. I feel like as an athlete and as a player, you want to be able to get into rhythm. You don't want to keep having to sub out, sub in. If you make a mistake, you're worried about the guy behind you. And naturally, some of that's going to happen with a quarterback battle. But I feel like you want as much confidence in one guy as possible. And so for me, it's like, you eventually, like what they say, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. And that's how I'm starting to feel about this entire situation. We're going to talk about it more next week and really dig into it. But I think that quote makes a lot of sense. MJ Morris and Billy Edwards, nobody can kind of clearly take it away. And it's not like both guys look awesome. That's not the situation. And I know it's not. I think it's both guys look mediocre. They probably, one guy has their day someday, sometimes the other guy has their day. I'm sure Cameron Edge even has his day some days, but I think maybe it's just like he hasn't really figured it out, and I think that's fair. So have plenty of camp to go. We still have, I don't know what they call it. I don't know if they call it fall camp, or I think they call it fall camp headed into the season, but they have the entire fall camp to go, and so it'll be interesting to see kind of how it comes along, what happens exactly, but I think he really doesn't know what he wants to do. I don't think he's lying to us. Because I feel like Coach Loxley, if he knew who the starter was, would tell us. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. It might take some time to kind of see what can happen. But I'm just waiting for him to name the starter. I think it'll take the entire camp, and it might be like a week before the season starts. But I do think that eventually he will name someone, and we'll go from there. But his comments were interesting for sure. Let me know what you guys think about it, because I thought it was kind of not weird, but it's like we're still kind of living in the Talia era, and I know he has to give Talia his props. It's like can we kind of hear more about what these new guys do well? But that's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to Locked On Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you for listening to Locked On Terps.